Welcome back. This episode I'm going to continue installing the sugiban on the top floor there in the front part. Last time I was having a little bit of difficulty on the wall that I was doing because I didn't know my method and I was trying to figure out exactly what I was going to do. But now that I have a good method already in place, now I can just go ahead and follow what I've learned and really hit my stride. Join me on my adventure to renovate an old house in Japan. So now I keep using a term called sugiban, and exactly what is it? In the West is called shou sugiban, and here in Japan it's actually called yaki. Yaki meaning put to the fire, and sugi meaning the type of wood that it is. In this case, it's cypress. The curious thing about it is if you actually do a search on shou sugiban, you can actually search it on dictionary.com. And on dictionary.com, actually, old firewood left over in a fireplace that has been repurposed for the use as siding boards on a house. It's pretty interesting, right? Well, if you want to go a step further, you can actually search it on urbandictionary.com. And on urbandictionary.com, it's defined as someone who has touched really burnt wood and their hands turn bleak and black as night. And it completely embarrasses them in public. Pretty interesting, right? And if actually there, it's kind of highlighted. If we go and highlight bleak and black, it says, oh, see shou sugiban. Honestly, it doesn't really say that. If you search it on dictionary.com or Urban Dictionary, it doesn't exist. But if you really want to do a Google search, you can find a lot of information about shou sugi and the benefits that it has. So why did I choose shou sugiban? Well, just for one reason. I think it looks fantastic. Yes, the bleak blackness. But enough talk. Let's get to it. Same tools this time: staple gun, pin nailer, drill, those screws, harness. Nope. This side of the house was in much better condition, but the old siding was still easy to rip off. I started with securing the framing with screws. The blue Loctite went on next to fill those gaps. I also used the black caulk to fill smaller gaps. Then the pink foam insulation went in. I followed the edges of the foam sheets with caulk, as well as I applied caulk around the wood frame. Once the moisture sheet was cut, I laid it over the caulk and frame. Caulking the sheet underneath ensures a nice tight moisture barrier. Throw some staples on and we are ready for the bleak black stuff. Yes, the bleak blackness. Measure and cut your boards. I used the pin nailer just to hold them in place as I did last time. And then, of course, I used the stainless steel screws to hold them permanently. I caulked the edges because I love getting everything covered in black caulk. I'm joking. Of course, this is just to keep the water away from the actual edges. So really, I had not many concerns this time around. The cool weather came in, we had nice storms and rain, and even though I don't really like rain, when the rain comes, it really cools things down. So I wasn't so worried about being hot on top of that roof. Of course, with rain comes slippery roof tiles, and really that was my only concern. But because I had a harness, it really wasn't that big of a deal. So this is just a quick tip to show you how I walk on my tile roof. You just walk foot over foot and make sure to stay within the grooves and not the high parts of the tiles. That way you don't risk cracking them. Of course, I don't actually use these type of shoes. I would wear something else when I'm working. This is the main bedroom wall that was extensively damaged. When I applied the blue Loctite, you can see here, it filled the large gaps in the wall. The wall had heavy shrinkage that caused extensive gaps. You can see the outside beam exposed here. A lot of the material fell, and you can see the line where the wall used to reach. It'll take a lot of material to fill again. But the exterior wall is finally finished on the other side, and I think it's looking great. Look at that beautiful bleak blackness.
Yes, the bleak blackness.
Really, I don't advocate working on a tile slanted roof in the rain. Think bathtub, bar of soap. But it just wouldn't stop raining, and I wanted to get it done. And of course, I have that harness. Work was slow going. I can't stress enough how important it is to be patient. You're on a ceramic tile roof. Although it's probably much safer in dry conditions, I did bear through some sprinkles from time to time, which made things a little slippery. I never actually did any work in heavy rain, just when it was a little spritz or two. Every little gap was filled with foam or caulk. Overkill? Maybe, but I only want to do this once. Measure twice, cut once. Can you see where the screw is? Ah, there's one. And another. I smudged them with dark brown caulk to take their glimmer away. You could see them from a mile away. I would have used black screws, but none of them came in a weather-resistant stainless variant. So shiny it was. Otherwise, they would rust. First, I pre-drilled the holes, and then I hand-turned them into the sugiban. Then I'll go back and screw them in. This method makes it much easier than fumbling changing bits on the drill on top of the roof. This time, of course, I wore gloves, but it's still been a mess, and my arms and hands are not so clean as I had hoped. But it's not as bad as last time. I can just drill them in really fast. This way, it just goes really quick. Pum pum pum. Here, I'm dabbing them with the brown caulk and using gloves. What a novel idea, right? Why brown and not black? Eventually, some of the black wears off, exposing a little bit of the dark brown tint of the wood. This way, the brown will be more closely matching the color of the wood when it wears off from that bleak blackness that I like. Blackness. And then it would just show big black blobs of caulk later. But for now, the brown is still very unnoticeable from far away, so it's doing the job just fine. You can see there on the bottom, I left one screw untouched just to show you the difference between the one that was caulked and the one that's uncaulked. It's a huge difference. They reflect the sun so bad, and I just didn't like it. It's a small extra step for a better aesthetic. So some obvious tips, like I learned last time, wear some gloves.
Use the hands, the black hands.
Also, that black caulk, man, it's messy. So definitely don't love the clothes that you're wearing. And those boards, they're made out of charred wood. So when you cut it, there's going to be charcoal everywhere. So be prepared for that. Also, I'm packing a lot of power tools. Now, of course, purists will probably say sugiban should be installed with one of these and one of these. But really, who has time for that? Of course, it's not necessary to actually buy power tools to do this type of install, but it sure does make things easy. But if you're on the budget, you literally could just install these walls with a hammer and a handsaw. And to be honest, I've actually seen it happen. A lot of people in this neighborhood actually install it still the old-fashioned way. Why they do it that way, I really don't know, but I just know my method so much quicker. So that's it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed watching the install of the sugiban. Of course, I kind of made this method up myself, so please don't look at me as the go-to example of how to do this type of installation. And you're probably watching and thinking, is he done? It still looks a little shabby at the top. And you're right, it does. Next episode, I'm actually going to refinish the top area. I'm going to reapply some shou or stucco material and really fix some of the damage. So, see you next time. I think last time I thought, yeah, I should wear gloves, but you always have in the back of your mind that you can just wash your hands and anything that you touch or any kind of mess that you get on you is going to just come right off, and that's not true. So this time around my hands are clean, and these are kind of really cheapy gloves, but I'm gonna try to get some surgical gloves next time. To be honest, I hate using gloves. I'm the kind of person that I want to feel what I'm doing, and I had gone to the onsen and a few other places that night, even after I had like scrubbed and washed them many times. And the first thing that people did was they looked at my hands like, I felt like it was a little bit of a dirty hand discrimination. So yeah, wear gloves. I'm gonna go home. I have clean hands this time, and I did exact same work did last time, and I'm so much cleaner looking. I can walk around the streets proud. Just put my hands in my pocket and hide and be like, hey, how's it going? You know, and lady's serving me the ramen, and I'm sitting there reaching to get the ramen, and she's like, as soon as I put my hands, I was like, ching! And they're like, oh, no. But yeah, that's kind of my black hands experience. Keep your hands clean. Pro tip.